All right, we are live. All right. So, hi, everybody out there who has a chance to listen to us today or who will be listening to us later after it's posted. Remember that I do post these again onto YouTube and after about a week after the interview, 1 to 2 weeks after the interview. And I hope you all had some really fantastic holidays. I know we did. And this is my first interview, 2022, with Mark Peterson. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Joy. How are you?
Fine. And then I also have an announcement to make for a sponsor. We are being sponsored by Luscious Moss Studios, owned and operated by Chad Christ. And he's primarily records drummers and guitarists, but he also does all my stuff. So he's produced my music as well. And he has an environment that's just conducive to collaboration. And he set it up that way. And he must have over 10 microphones on the drums. So anything you do in his studio, it sounds really great. If you don't recognize the name, he is the lead player for Heart by Heart. So with that being said, you can find him in Edwards, Washington, and he is on the internet. He's on Facebook if you look for Luscious Moss Studio. All right. So, Mark, I don't really know a lot about you because I haven't had that much contact. So I was just wondering if you made, before we get into your musical career, if you made any New Year's resolutions this year.
No, because I usually don't keep them, but one I'm working on is to lose some weight.
Oh, so. Yeah. Well, I've been trying to do that for the last 50 years.
Yes.
On again, off again. Oh, here's candy. Oh, what diet? Yeah. Well, I haven't made any, so I know better.
Yeah. Yep.
But I would like to produce more music. And speaking of music, what was your first instrument you played, and when did your playing begin?
Well, the first instrument I played was just a single snare drum that my parents got me for Christmas when I was 3.
Oh, brave parents.
And I know I'm dating myself, but there was an orchestra called the Paul Whiteman Orchestra, and he used to come on at 7 o'clock every Sunday night.
Was that here in Washington?
No, that was in upstate New York, where I'm from.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said that.
And he, when his show came on, I dragged that drum out and sat and tried to play with the orchestra.
Cool. At 3?
Yeah.
How good were you at 3?
Probably not very good. And then when I got it to be to the age that I got interested in the ladies,
yeah.
By that time I had a drum kit, and it was pretty hard to carry a drum kit around school. So yeah. All my buddies were playing guitars, and they were getting the girls. So I decided, well, maybe I should play guitar. And
I've heard that before. Other people have said that on here. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, and I got started by seeing the movie, The Hank Williams Story.
Yeah. Kind of remember that, but I remember that was senior, right? Or was it junior after his accident? Senior, yeah.
Senior. And I had a neighbor who had an old flat top Gibson, and he used to let me come over, and he'd teach me a few chords, and then it kind of went from there. And
how old were you at that time, if I may ask? Or yeah, you know,
I was about 13 when I started playing guitar.
You know, I think that the very best thing for most musicians, and certainly I need it, is to go from the drums where you get the rhythm, and then the guitar, because then you got your timing down, and you know how to strum to a beat. Or I didn't have that, and it's difficult.
Yeah, and from there, I didn't lose contact with the drums. I played in a drum and bugle corps in New York,
Oh.
and that was a great experience for.
Either school or what is that? Drum and bugle
No,
corps.
it was it wasn't for school. It was through a local church.
Ah,
Not that I was, but they took street kids in and got them interested in music.
cool.
And we played a we played a show, and it was in a competition. And there was a famous drum corps from New York City called the Yellow Jackets,
Hmm.
and they've been together forever. And our corps had only been together 3 years, and they had to judge us to see where we were, and
Right.
we wound up beating the Yellow Jackets.
Wow,
So,
that's an accomplishment.
yeah, yeah,
Feather in your cap.
yeah.
So where did you go from there? Was there
Well, I was
you?
in the Navy. I was in the Navy during Vietnam.
Ah,
That's how I wound up here.
your service
And
there.
after that, we moved to. We lived in New York, and we moved to Kentucky.
Yeah, I saw that in your bio.
Yeah, and that was a blast because for a musician, it was like living in Disneyland. Everybody played,
Yeah,
and
I've never been there, but I've been to West Virginia, and I know that East Coast music, country, folk music, country, whatever you want to call it, bluegrass is something in each state is very different.
yeah, and down there I played pretty much uh, hardcore country, Willie Whalen, Chris Christopherson,
Uh,
and
but was that during the time that they were active, or
yeah,
you were playing covers, but they were already out
they
there?
were
It was
already out there. They
20
were big,
years later. It was
yeah,
right at the time.
they were a big influence,
Yeah.
and that's where uh, that's where I got introduced to some bluegrass.
Yeah.
And, it was pretty interesting because people there were living in tobacco barns, but one of the one of the older guys I met had a 1932 Gibson Mastertone and a 1930 Martin guitar.
Oh, the Martin I recognize, the rest I don't.
Yeah, and anyway, while I was in Kentucky, through a chain of events, uh, I met a lady. Her name was Ronnie Stoneman. Her married name was Ronnie Cox,
Hmm.
and anyway, she was part of the Stoneman family, which are really big in that area,
Uh-huh.
and
Which bluegrass or country?
country and bluegrass. And she
All
played
of it.
5-string banjo, and
Oh,
she was putting a show on at Fort Knox, Kentucky, at the Officers Club, and asked me if I would like to play lead guitar for her. And so I got to play a couple shows with her, and we became friends, and that was pretty cool. And I got to play with Buck Owens' fiddle player, Tommy Williams.
mm.
He walked into a little club we were playing one night, wanted to know if he could sit in, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah,
And
that often happens around here
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, well, we were right in line where all the tour buses stopped,
Ah,
and so that was a pretty big deal to me. But my all-time hero was Chet Atkins, and that's the type of music I really enjoy playing. And
is he the guy who used to give lessons and have books out about how to play guitar? Is that Chet?
no, that was
Oh,
Roy Clark.
ah, yeah. Okay.
Chet Atkins was part of what they call the million dollar band because that's what it cost to hire him. It
Oh,
was Floyd Kramer on piano and Boots Randolph, uh, Chet Atkins, of course,
mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was all the top shelf musicians.
Yeah. And he charged a lot of money, huh?
Yeah,
Today.
yeah.
Well, what is one song of his that you can remember that you like the best?
I have two, Windy and Warm and Caravan.
Oh, Caravan's a great drummer song, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
Yeah. We had a drummer, when I had my band, we had a drummer who wanted to do that so bad. And we finally learned it, but he left before we ever got to play it with him. But yeah, I heard it and I loved it. So we ended up with Wipeout.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good standby.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, during all this time now, what happened after your competition? You were playing drums for that.
No, I was playing, yeah, I was playing drums for that. And then when I was in Kentucky, I did an audition for a group, and it was kind of odd because the band had only been together for 3 months. And the kids that had the band were so young that we had to get work permits for them to be able to play. And this is after I'd been playing for 20 years. And we were entered in a battle of bands. And I said, we're not going to win this. It's not going to happen because we're going up some pretty stiff competition.
Yeah.
As it turned out, the name of the group was Eagle Express. And as it turned out, we did win.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's the second win.
yeah, so that was a big feather in their cap.
Ah.
I was
They
part
were
of that.
they were most of the people in the band that won was younger people, right?
Yeah, I was the
So
oldest one in the group.
yeah, and to be that good early on, what happened to him? What happened to your band?
Well, it's the only time that I ever walked out on a show.
Oh no.
But we were playing a show at Fort Knox, and the manager of the band kept trying to get me to go to these meetings, and he wouldn't tell me what they were. And it turned out that he was a devil worshiper.
Oh my gosh. The devil's music. Lovely.
And so he waited till the middle of the show to tell me that. And the only one left in the band was the drummer because it was his son. And that's the one and only time I've ever walked out on a show. But
whatever happened to the young people in that band? Did that?
They went and played with other bands, and very good musicians.
Yeah.
For their age.
Yeah, exactly. Age really doesn't have anything to do with how mature your music is, I think.
Yeah, we had 4-part harmonies, and we did a lot of Alabama songs. And
yeah, I like Alabama.
Of course, Waylon and Willie. And down there, the joke was, "What kind of music do you play?" And I said, "Both kinds, country and Western." And they kind of looked at me funny when I first came down there because, they knew I was from New York and they think the city right off. And they said, "You're from New York and you play country music?" It was like the paste commercial for salsa. New York City. And but after a while, I worked my way into their heart. So.
Oh, all right. We got a comment here. Somebody put a lot of hearts on there and said, "Looking good, Joy." I don't know. After last night, I didn't get home. It took us 2 hours to go from Duval to Redmond.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't had much sleep, so I don't know about you. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out how to get this off of here now that I got it on. But I do want to tell people, if you're going to comment and for some reason it's not working. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
I'd help you, but I'm computer illiterate.
I don't know. It's good. There we go. Back to my. So whoever said looking good, Joy, thank you, thank you, thank you. And where were we? We were devil worshiping band,
Yeah,
unbeknownst to you. And then what was the last? Then you were talking about something else, and I kind of lost it because I hit the wrong button here.
yeah.
Can
Well,
you?
I ended up moving back here to Washington, and I played on the road with a gospel group, and met a lady by the name of Penny Baker, and she at one time played piano for Buck Owens. And anyway, I played with her for about 2 years, and then I was in and off the road after that. And it just got to be too much of a job for me. It was to the
How long?
point. It
How
was to the
long?
point. Pardon?
How long? How long were you on the road with this lady?
I was on the road with her for 2 years, and
Where all did you go in the United States or local
yeah,
or all over?
yeah, pretty much all over. I played in, of course, I played in New York, and uh, I was never on the road there, but uh, that was the first time I'd been on the road was with Penny Baker.
What was the name of the band?
You know, I can't remember, Joy. It's been so long ago.
Hey, no problem.
But
So
that was a nice experience, and
yeah,
you know, I got to do a lot of things and meet a lot of people that I never would have met, and the same has happened to me here. There's a gentleman I met lives up by Blaine. His name is Bob Martin. I call him Banjo Bob,
hmm,
and he's one of the best banjo players in the state.
yeah. I never heard him. I'd love to hear that guy. We got another comment. I just put it up. I don't know if you can see it. And it says, I agree, you're looking good. Somebody prior to that said looking good. And this one says, I enjoy your guest, Isaiah. Hi, Isaiah. Um, let's see if I can get you off of here now that I got you on. All right, let's see. And then we got one from your Aunt Betty says, from upstate New York, New York loves you and your music.
Yeah, she has to. She's more like my mom.
All right.
I don't know why she loves me, but she has to. She's family.
Well, not necessarily. She doesn't have to like your music.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I try to take my guitar to New York when I go to visit and play for her.
So one of the comments of the people that watched the show prior, when I posted and I advertised who's going to be on, one of them said that you were just a really solid, good guitarist. And I feel bad that I've never heard you.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do something about that.
We definitely will. So have you ever played down in Tacoma? I mean, down in the, I'm understanding from some, I had a past lead called Chet Hastings. And he said during the 80s that you could play 7 days a week in the Tacoma and Seattle area. There were that many places. Were you part of that scene?
When I played with Penny Baker, that was where we were based out of, was Tacoma. And I did some recording work down there. And but no, I was pretty much at that time I was living in Kitsap County over
Yeah.
by Port Orchard.
Yeah. They have a lot of places there now.
Yeah, and we were keeping pretty busy there. I played with a group there called Thin Ice.
Oh,
And,
that's a great name.
we were a three-piece group, and it was me, bass player, and a drummer, and we all sang. And then we hired a rhythm guitar player, and we were together for about 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah, my one of my best friends, Milo Cook, him and I got a band together called Flashback, and our Backflash. We
Backflash.
were all fishermen, so we thought that'd be a good name. And we played together for a very long time, and then he passed.
Oh,
And,
sorry.
after he passed, I didn't pick a guitar up for 5 years.
Wow.
But we all parted as friends, and he was the kind of friend you didn't see one without the other. So
Yeah, death is kind of a hard thing to deal with.
yeah,
I had a little of that in my life, so I get it.
and I
Yeah,
don't know if anybody out there knows him, but I got to do some recording with a guy by the name of Grover Jackson.
I don't know. I don't know him, but I'm
He
new on the scene, so
he was a very good musician. He really impressed me because uh, he loved Chet Atkins too. So him and I got a chance to play together and trade licks and stuff, and very
so,
nice.
so what really was it about Chet Atkins that caught your fancy, that got you started in being a
Well,
fan?
he we were kind of from the same ilk. His his first guitar was a Stella guitar, and it only had 3 strings on it.
Oh gosh.
And I thought, man, you got to be good to be able to learn on a 3-string guitar and go where he went.
Yeah. Wow.
And I had a guitar teacher that played finger picking style, so that's what I learned to play, and stuff like Harbor Lights and Misty, and
Oh, we played those. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so I didn't know that Chet Atkins had a bass player or any other musicians behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So I just learned to play the bass and the lead at the same time. And
On one of those double guitars, where they
no,
have no.
no, just on a regular 6-string guitar. The first guitar I had was a Tessico, and it was
Never
for the
heard of it.
guitar players. It was a real cheese grater, and I remember playing until my fingers bled. And then as I progressed and got a job, uh, I bought my first Stratocaster, and that was like going from a Volkswagen to a Lincoln.
Yes.
And I had people along the way that really helped me, took me into under their wings. And I had the first job I had playing, I was 14, so I had to get a work permit. But I answered an ad in the paper, and it said lead guitar player wanted. So I called, and they said, "Well, you play lead guitar, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I showed up to play,
Yeah.
and I couldn't play lead guitar for speed.
Oh,
So they all told me, they said, "Well, if you want to play this bad, we can't tell you no."
oh,
And
that was
so
cool.
one of the guys in the band got together with me at his house, and that's how I pretty much learned to play lead.
Yeah. Well, I've had teachers, and I'm still rhythm. I don't know. I know maybe 22 chords, and I know the fretboard a little bit, not as good as I should, but I don't have that. I think you have to keep playing to have that flexibility in your fingers.
Well,
And
I like playing swing music too. So
yeah, there's a lot of that up and over it. We got another commenter here. I just put it up. Can you see these from your screen when I put this stuff up? It's very
just
small, but it's
yeah,
there. He says, Joni Crockett, thank you and hello, friend. How is your family doing? I hope they're doing well. Merry Christmas to you all. Um, can you send me a friend request so we can be friends? Thank you. Do you know
Yeah,
that?
that's my cousin in New
Ah,
York.
all right. Well, you
We're
must have
more like,
a family.
yeah, we're more like brother and sister.
Oh, cool. That's very important, I think. A key element for success is to have that support. Obviously, they care a lot for you.
Well, see, and they don't really know that much about music, so they think I'm great.
Well, that helps. That helps too.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. So anyway, I was going to ask you as well. Now that we've got a little bit of the background of what you've been doing, what happened or how did things change for you, if at all, during COVID when you I ran into COVID. The last time I played was February 14th, 2019, I believe. Let's see, 2021 or 2020. March was when I think it all came out. And uh, I had a had a jam at Duval with Lynn Sorensen and Doug McGrew, which I also had last night. But anyway, that was the last gig that I did, and I had just gotten through getting through COVID. I was sick, but I never got tested because they didn't know at that time. It was just coming out in March, and I was sick in January. And yeah, things changed. And talk about fingers bleed. That was my fingers when I was trying to play. I just got all my music out after sitting around for 2 weeks. I got everything that I had and I start playing. Don't know that it did any good, but I hired an instructor and started working on it. So how did it affect you?
Well, one positive thing that came from it was I I've been retired for about 10 years,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and my kids really support me playing music too.
Yes, that helps.
And I was talking to him, and I wanted a Taylor guitar really bad.
Yeah, that the player, the guest, they have guest leads out at Duval, and
Yeah.
there's a young man called Manuel Morais, and he has a Taylor that he plays every now and then to my music, and God, what a heavenly! So one night, my battery went dead in my guitar, and so he lent me this Taylor, and oh, was that a piece of heaven?
Yeah, I really love mine. Not not that I'm a commercial for Taylor, but I bought a Taylor auditorium, and it's got um, a Sitka spruce top,
Oh,
and it's pretty much one of the best guitars I ever had in my hands. But now
so
I'm looking
do you
forward to
play
getting
electric or acoustic when
it's
you play?
electric acoustic. It's
No,
electric.
I mean, I'm sorry. Do you play the hard body or acoustic when you play?
It's acoustic. Yeah. Right
That
now,
part is acoustic, but when you were playing in the bands, were you playing electric acoustics or were you playing a hard body guitar?
no, I was playing solid bodies. I
Solid body.
always had played. I've always played either Gretsch or Fender Stratocaster or Telecaster. I
Yeah.
like the Telecaster, especially. I do a lot of Myrtle Haggard music, and the Telecaster's just got.
Oh, sorry. Hey, sorry. I should have shut this thing off. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I like the Telecaster because it's got that country twang, and
Ah,
that's my hobby is building solid body guitars. And right now I'm working on a copy of a '60s Telecaster,
hmm,
and I've had Les Pauls, and
yeah.
I always go back to Fender.
A lot of people say that. In fact, the guitar instructor I have now is his name is Dave Nichols, and he's been on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he swears by him. So a lot of people do. I don't know what they have. I had a few, and I I I went back to the semi hollow body
Hmm.
Epiphones. I really like them, and then I got one from Canada. Seagull, the
Yeah.
Seagulls. Have you ever heard of them? And
Yeah.
I love my Seagull, but that's the one that I'm using now. But I also have a Epiphone. Um, I can't remember what it is. I like the guys. I don't get all involved in all these what they are, but it's got a bird on it. I don't know if you ever. Oh, I can't think of what it
Probably
was.
a hummingbird,
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, no, it's not the hummingbird, but it's similar.
songbird.
I
We have
can't think.
one that's a songbird.
Yeah,
Anyway, right now I'm playing a Epiphone SG,
yeah,
solid body.
yeah. I had one. I just traded that for one of my guitars. So that Canadian guitar I have, the
Yeah.
Seagull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I like the Epiphones. Everybody swears by Fender, but me, I like the Epiphones. Only problem is, I like my guitar geared a little lower,
Hmm.
and I can't seem to get that sound. I don't, through these speakers. I don't know if I don't have a very good um, amplification system or what on it, but it always sounds really too bright for me, and I'm trying to tone it down, and I just can't do it.
Well, I'll
So
tell you, the best amp that I ever had was a Marshall
yeah,
half cat.
yeah, that's what I have. Yeah. So when you build these guitars, do you how do you how do you get the sound where you want it, where you think it's right, or do you go by some other formula that, of course, I have no idea because I've never built a guitar or watched anybody.
Yeah, for me, it has to do with the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Resonation.
use, I have one right now. My Telecaster that I'm working on is flame maple, semi hollow, and then I have a Stratocaster I'm working on that's solid flame maple,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it has to do with the pickups.
Ah, yeah,
And I was able to get my hands on some 1964 Telecaster pickups,
yeah.
and that's where it really makes the difference. And
So why would these older pickups sound better than today's pickups that are all modernized and you know developed over the years?
I don't know that they sound any better,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it's like a comfortable old pair of jeans.
Ah,
I know what they're going to sound like before I
I
put them
know.
in, and it's the sound I was used to. And a lot of it has to do with my addiction to Merle Haggard. And
So you get that sound from the ones that you build or that you own.
right.
Yeah,
And James Burton, who played lead guitar for Elvis, always used,
yeah,
the big sound then was the 60s
yeah,
guitars.
yeah.
And it's just like, I said, it's like little kids have blankets where they carry with them.
Yeah.
I have old pickups that I carry with me.
I love it. You tell your musician, most musician friends I know carry picks in their pocket. I've had to have one or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
always carry about 40 of them with me because I know I'm going to lose at least 10.
oh, oh my gosh! How you lose the pickup?
Just clumsy, I guess. Or I'll set them down someplace and walk
Yeah.
out and forget
Oh,
them.
wow. Oh no.
At my age, I'm lucky if I can remember what I had for breakfast.
Oh
So,
yeah. Well, I'm right behind you there. So there's somebody here. I need to put this up on the screen and then we'll read it to you. But I don't know who this is. But he says, "Wow, oops, sorry. Wow, 64 tele pickups have to be rare as hen's teeth.
Yeah, they are pretty rare, but these are reissue, and I ordered them from Fender.
Wow.
And also, I don't know if he's still in business or not, but there's a guy in Spanaway. Uh, his name escapes me, but he still hand winds pickups.
Wow.
And I've never used any, but I have a friend that has a couple of guitars with his pickups in them, and he can uh, he can make them sound like any guitar you want them to sound like.
Oh my gosh. So, do you have one of those? Do you have the guitar that you're working on? Do you have that handy to show us?
Uh, I don't, but I do have. I'll show you the body that I have.
Okay. Trying to get this on here where we can see just you.
And this is solid flame maple. And this actually came from wood off my nephew's property. He owns some property here and asked me if I would like to have it. I said, yeah. So, you can pay pretty much anything you want to pay for guitar wood. They're normally about $400 for enough wood to make a body with.
Oh my gosh. One of our commoners, I wish this person would identify themselves, but he just says, very cool. So apparently he liked that guitar. And that was your spruce, right? That was
That was flame maple.
oh, that one is maple. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
thought you were talking about a spruce one before.
No, I have another flame maple.
Okay.
My Taylor has a spruce top on it.
That's it. Okay, your Taylor. All right. Oh, so I'm not really familiar with, like I said, guitars being made.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the wood so important? Just the resonation of it, or I mean, because you're using strings, they're electric, they're plugged in, they're amplified, and why would that wood make any difference? Durability, or
It has to do with sustain. And Fender normally uses ash, which is a very hard wood.
mm-hmm.
And the reason is because a lot of the rock bands like them because they can the sustain of the wood, the notes ring out for quite a while. The more the
I had
harder
no
the wood,
idea.
yeah, the harder the wood, the more sustain you get.
So, can anybody buy your guitars, or you just make them for yourself?
So far, I've just been making them for myself because I'm looking for a place to live with a shop.
Ah, yes.
My son and I are both woodworkers, and it's quite a lengthy process
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to do it, and I really don't have a place to do it. But I have never sold any of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I've had 2 of them stolen.
Oh no. Obviously, they
And,
were good if they stole them.
yeah, they were the first 2 I made. I
I know.
made a copy of a Stevie Ray Vaughan Stratocaster out of quilted maple,
Oh my gosh.
which is a really hard wood to work with. The grain
Maple?
goes 100 different ways. And I built a copy of a 52 Telly, and those were the 2 that disappeared.
Oh no. Somebody probably knew what they were.
Oh, I'm sure. But they're probably long gone by now.
Yeah. So this is what you were doing. You were building your this guitar during COVID. So how did it actually affect you as far as well, you're not gigging at this time, right? So
I'm
or
not doing any shows anymore, but I have a group of bluegrass musicians and country musicians. We play together twice a week, and we do a show once in a while. But it's nothing big. It's uh, maybe pretty much volunteer.
yeah, there's a place that I went to that was playing bluegrass, so some kind of bluegrass festival up near Snohomish.
Hmm.
They had this big building there, and all the bluegrass people would come up. Did you ever get to be in that or try to be a part of that?
No, because I've only been playing bluegrass for about 2 years,
Uh-huh.
and I was never subjected to it before. And uh, I knew about bluegrass, especially living in Kentucky, but then I was after. That's what I did for a living, so I was looking. Nobody'd pay you to play bluegrass, and but when I got up here, I met bluegrass musicians, and they said, "Oh, come on, play with us." And I said, "Well, I've never played bluegrass." And they said, "Oh, come on, you pick it up." And so this year will be the first year because one of the reasons I wanted to move up here is because of the Darrington Bluegrass Festival.
Oh.
So far, for the time I've been up here, because of COVID, they didn't have it.
How
But
long ago did you move here? I,
I've been here about 4 years in
oh,
concrete.
that's not very long.
No,
Okay.
and but anyway, I've met a bunch of musicians that we get together and play, like I said, twice a week in a little hall in Cedar Woolley, and through them I've met some fantastic people and fantastic musicians, and
What's the difference between the bluegrass that you're playing now and the traditional country that you were playing before? What's the difference?
a lot of the lead guitar parts are different,
Ah,
and to be real honest, it's easier to cover mistakes up and stuff with an electric guitar and you're playing with a band.
yeah.
And usually after the first set, almost everybody in the clubs are drunk, so you could play
Yeah.
the jukebox and they wouldn't know. But
Yeah.
it's I found it difficult playing for people who were sober. And but anyway, now I'm having more fun now playing music than I ever have.
Mhm.
Doing it for free, just doing it because I want to do it. And COVID has
That opportunity.
afforded me the opportunity to practice more.
Right.
So,
Oh,
but
well,
it's a little challenging. It makes me work, and that's what I need. I need somebody to light a fire on me and get me going. So,
I started, they had a group that met in an antique store over in Shoreline and different places, but I started with them and we had a fiddle player, mandolin player, and all this stuff going. It was a big circle, and we go around and everybody play their music. Of course, I was playing country, but
mhm.
yeah, it was fun, and I had those beats, that rhythm, boy, that would wipe me out.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
those,
what we do too. Is we all take turns. We're all pretty much. Most of us are ex-club musicians,
uh-huh.
but we go in a circle, and that way it keeps things uh, so the water
Oh,
doesn't get muddied.
yeah. Each time you're learning something brand new that you've probably never heard before.
Yeah, and I'm looking really forward this year to go to the bluegrass festivals.
All right. Well,
And
we have to stay in touch, and if you do, drop me a line as to when it's going to be and where it's going to and if I get out there, I like to do it.
Yeah, I'd like to get to play music with you sometime.
Yeah. Well, I'm not all that great. I swear, of all the lessons that I take and everything else, I still struggle with timing. I don't know. I've done everything I can to try to work on that, but there are, I go to gyms, and that's not the best place to learn timing. If
Yeah,
you've ever been to a gym, they don't know your music, they don't know what you're doing, and yeah, I get some bad habits when I play, so I have to break those. So that's why I have a guitar instructor to help me. But yeah, I hope we can get together. Have you ever gone out to local Billy's and them on Thursday night?
uh, no, not really.
Well, there's a young man out there. His name is Chris Egger, and he plays
Shut up. My dogs.
with I saw somebody else moving around back there. Yeah, but anyway, this young man plays with a guy who likes everything vintage, and so he recreates cover songs from older country music. And one of the songs that he created, I absolutely love, is "Flowers on the Wall" by the Statler Brothers,
Oh
and he
yeah,
gave it a new flair. But anyway, he comes. He's world famous. He goes all over, and and his name is Eric Heatherly, and he was out at the Lincoln Theater in Mount Vernon, and we went out to see him there. Wow, he's great. And Chris is just in a really, he's a good guitar player. So if you ever get a chance to go out there, it's not bluegrass, but you certainly can play country. I think he knows some of the licks.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that would maybe be a good place for us to meet since it's a little closer. But
yeah.
it's
'Cause
a long way out there.
I'm always, you know, everybody I play with, especially lead players, I try to learn something
All right.
from them. And like I was saying earlier, I've been really fortunate. I've had a lot of good influence and from other guitar players. Uh,
Yes.
there's a good friend of mine, Ray Woods. He teaches at Olympic College in Bremerton. Teaches,
It's familiar.
and my brother always called him Dr. Pickenstein. And I swear he knows every chord in the world.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's a lot of them.
yeah, and he tested my Stratocaster out that I built because I know if he liked it, I was on the right track.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of good musicians in this state that people don't even know about.
Yeah, there are. I mean, yeah.
Another friend of mine, Alan Alto, he's one of these guys. He's just real laid back and everything, and until he picks a guitar up, and then he comes alive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Roger Ferguson and Roger Ferguson is just a fantastic musician, and
Well,
he
the
plays.
bad part of this is that you guys don't have, the only place that unknown musicians, independent songwriters and singers get to do any of their stuff other than a gig. And then, there's none of that for the last couple of years to speak of. But the only place you can really do anything is when you go to a jam, and that's how I see new people all the time. And get
Mhm.
to know the area musicians, but that's really the only way to get heard. And there's like you said, a lot of talent that people don't know anything about, and they have never heard them play. And I've never heard you play, and I'd love to hear it. So yeah, it's too bad there is something else going on where these people can get together and get out there and let the public know that they're and what they can do.
Well, you know, I'm retired, so I can pretty much do whatever I want. So I'm sure we'll get together and go to a jam session or something. And
Well,
'cause I
I
think
saw
from what I
2000.
know of you, Joy, I think you're a very special lady, and I'm
Thank
real
you.
happy to have met you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And what in all your experiences that we've been talking about since you started being a drummer at 3, would you say were the happiest times your aha moments or things that you said, wow, that was really special?
Will you shut up? I would say probably the highlight, the aha moment of my career was to be able to play music for my mother.
Oh.
And
There's a story there. How did
well,
this?
she went without a lot.
Yeah.
And she bought me my first guitar.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when I first started taking formal lessons, my guitar instructor, bless his heart, his name was Save Camerari. He's from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember standing outside of his house crying because I knew I'd never be able to play like he did.
Oh.
And he used to charge, this is going back a ways, he used to charge $10 a half hour for lessons. And my lessons turned out to be sometimes 2 or 3 hours long.
Wow.
And
your mom put the bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after after an hour he'd tell, oh, don't worry about it, we're just picking now.
Oh.
And he's the one I learned stuff from like Caravan and Wendy and Warm, and he was a big Chet Atkins fan too, and Tony Emanuel and Merle Travis, and that's how I got introduced to all these hot shots. But I'll never play like that. But yeah, and another aha moment was when I got to go home and play with him after I'd been playing for years. And
wonderful.
He said, well, what do you want to play? And he had this beautiful Gretsch Country Gentleman. And I'd left my Gretsch home. And I says, well, I'd like to play your Gretsch if you don't mind. And he says, well, you got your choice. You can play that or the Gibson Birdland.
You can play that at what?
He said, you can either play the Gretsch or you can play the Gibson Birdland. Just a minute. You shut the hell up, will you? I got 2 ankle biters, and they bark if a snowflake hits the ground.
Yeah, it happens.
But anyway, it was really nice to get to go back to play with him, and him and I are still great friends. And
how did you feel? Did you feel like you'd learned your lessons along the way, or?
Yeah, and he told me one time, because as time progressed, I taught at a music store, and he told me, he says, Mark, you're going to get one guitar player, one student that's going to be just like you. And he said, appreciate it, because you probably only get one. And I remember this kid came in to take lessons, and his parents, I didn't know he was doing this, but he was sneaking and paying me with money from his paper route to take guitar lessons. And I don't know, I didn't give him that very many lessons, but he practiced constantly, 8 hours a day. Wow. And it got to the point where I'd sit down and play something and he'd mirror it right back to me. And I said, well, I got to tell you, I said, you need to go to my old guitar teacher, because I just can't teach you anymore.
No. Did he? Did he go?
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember when I went in the Navy, I sold him a 64 Stratocaster for $75. I had a friend of mine recently that sold his for $27,000.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But anyway, every time I go back, I see this kid and I tell him, I said, well, he's a man now.
Yeah.
I said, "You still got that Stratocaster?" He says, "Yeah, and it's not for sale."
Well, he learned the value of it anyway. Did he ever does he have a band, or did he ever use the things
I
that
don't.
he learned on the guitar?
I think he played with local bands, but
Yeah.
but
Never.
it was worth it for me because he gave me a lot more than $75. I
Yeah.
mean, the fact that he still got it,
Yeah.
he enjoys playing is good enough for me, you know.
Absolutely. I get it. Well, it's we've gotten sort of to the end of this. What? How did you play for your mom? I mean, name one of the times that you felt like you showing your mom that all this hard work and dedication and giving you those lessons paid off.
Well, she when she was able to follow the band, I
Huh?
moved her out here from upstate New York, and she her and my wife both would go wherever I played, and it just really pleased her that I was able to do this. You know,
Yes.
it
She
was
must be
kind of my
very
way
proud.
of being able. I kind of got a chance to let her know that her that her money wasn't wasted.
Yes.
So
I get that. Well, we're wrapping up here because we have just a few more minutes on food, but I do want to thank you for coming out today and telling us your story. It's amazing how these stories develop. Everybody's different and everybody has their story. So in the future, other than going to the festival, the Bluegrass Festival in Darrington and playing with your group, is there any other plans for the 2022 year?
yeah, I think I might start playing clubs again as a hired gun. You know, somebody
Ah,
needs a
exactly.
guitar player, and I
Are you
also I also play mandolin.
Yeah, you were saying that you did. You played other
Yeah,
instruments. So you still play the drum?
and I'm learning to play the fiddle.
Oh,
So and 5 string banjo, and I remember my friend I was talking about earlier, Bob Martin.
hmm
He plays an older Gibson Master Tone, and so I thought, well, you know, I'll see if I can get one like Bob's. Yeah, a little too rich for my blood right now.
yeah,
I got to get that Martin next. So
yeah. I've been looking for another guitar too, and I don't know why I need another guitar. I don't need one, but I'm always trying to improve the tone. I'm not quite where I want it to be. But it's fine when you're doing acoustic without being plugged in, but the minute
mhm.
I plug in and I'm using somebody else's amp, I don't like the tones. And
Yeah,
so I've been thinking about getting a Martin, or a Breedlove. I don't know if you ever heard of those. The
yeah, I
Breedlove.
had a Breed Love,
You did?
and
What did you think of it?
I liked it.
Okay.
It was for inexpensive guitar. It was really nice.
Hmm. I'm going to
And
have to
you know,
check.
there's just a real short story here. There was a friend of mine that owned a music store in North Seattle, Guitarville,
Yeah.
and my wife went there with me one time, and she asked him. She said, "Well, how many guitars does a guitar player have to have?" And he said, "Honey, 37 of these are my own private guitars." He said, "The only one we need is the next one."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think my husband just shakes his head and he's like, "Oh my God, I have to work overtime again."
yeah.
Well, I do want to thank you for coming out today, and I'm
Well,
sure
thank you too, Joey, for having me. I really
you're
had a
welcome.
good
And we will get together in 2020. I'm not quite sure how, but I've got it on my to-do list now. And I have that interview with this lady named Peggy Cairns, Carins, Kearns or Cairns. So she's a fiddle player, I hear, and I'm going to look her up too. So we'll see how that
Okay.
goes. And
All
in the
right.
meantime, you have great time building your guitars and playing your music, and I'll see you down the road.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joy. And
All right,
thanks
thank
for
you.
everybody that showed up to listen.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for listening today. And this will be going on my Facebook in about an hour. So not only do you have it here, but you'll have it on my Facebook page. If you're my friend, you'll see it. And it'll go in 1 week to 2 weeks onto YouTube. And you can get there by going to search on YouTube and type in Joy, Joy, Ann, Ann, Lajeret, Lajeret. And you can find all of my interviews in there, including this one.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joy.
Happy New Year and good playing.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.